Hello everyone, my name is Ryan Cam, and Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest is better than you remember. This was directed once again by Gore Verbinski, and it is a sequel to Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, and it was released in 2006. Captain Jack is back. This time around, he is on the search for the very still beating heart of Davy Jones, of Locker fame, played by Bill Nye. But there's a couple of caveats. First being, well, Captain Jack owes a certain debt to Davy Jones. And, well, let's just say Mr. Jones is not exactly the kind of guy to let debts like that slide. And on top of all of that, there is outside forces coming to see that piracy is wiped from the face of the earth forever. Coming in the form of the East India Trading Company and its boss/resident asshole, Cutler Beckett, played by Tom Hollander. After Curse of the Black Pearl made, well, the technical term is a crap ton of money, Disney basically decided to strike while the iron is hot and turn this thing into a franchise. They brought back the same creative team, director Gore Verbinski, and Johnny Depp, Orlando Bloom, and Kieran Knightley re-signing to rejoin the sequel, along with new additions in the form of the aforementioned Bill Nye as Davy Jones, and Stellan Skarsgård as Bootstrap Bill Turner, the father of Will Turner. Considering the fact that Curse of the Black Pearl made so much money, it would have been so easy for Disney to just be like, you know what, just throw some pirate stuff on the screen. No one really cares. But to the credit of director Gore Verbinski and the creative team on this in general, they didn't just have another thing that they had to go after and, just try to play the hits. There are definitely some hits that are played, but in the grand scheme of things, there's more of a story told. And I think that is why that movie is better than you remember. The movie is not perfect. I do have some problems with it. But this is definitely a movie that is better than I remember. And in terms of blockbusters, I think it has aged very well. I think it's rather superfluous to say this, but Johnny Depp is really good as Captain Jack. I mean, of course he is. But here you get a couple of extra nuances. The movie does a good job of showing that even though he comes across as callous and only thinking about himself, in reality, he thinks of everyone but himself. And if that finale shows anything, is that, well, he's willing to go down with the ship, quite figuratively and literally. Like I said in my Curse of the Black Pearl review, Jack Sparrow is the most tempting piece to play against, but also the most dangerous game piece on the game board. And it's especially dangerous considering that Davy Jones, who is by far and away the scarier person of the two, deep down, he's got flaws too, and Captain Jack is very open about his flaws, but will run into the gunfire while Davy Jones puts up a front, and, well, I think will kind of run away. It's an interesting dynamic. Orlando Bloom and Kieran Knightley are both good in their roles as Will Turner and Elizabeth Swann, respectively. We get new developments with their character as well, with Elizabeth Swann basically eschewing her role as the governor's daughter to becoming basically a pirate. And it was honestly really nice to see. And Will Turner reunites with his father, Bootstrap Bill. And Bootstrap Bill, there's actually some quite heartbreaking moments between these two. Not only is the design of Bootstrap Bill just uncomfortable to look at. Like, seriously, this dude has, like, muscles. Not, like, these kind of muscles, but, like, the muscles that you eat with, like, chorizo. Like, on his actual face. And you're just sitting there like, oh, that is so uncomfortable. You can tell that Bootstrap Bill has many regrets, and they are weighing very heavy on his mind. Stellan Skarsgård was the perfect choice for this role, and he and Orlando Bloom have good chemistry together. But honestly, the guy who I think almost steals the show is Tom Hollander as Cutler Beckett. There is a lot going on with that character that is not necessarily shown, or not necessarily told, but is shown. The East India Company, even though it is a company, and on paper you think, oh, against Davy Jones, there's no way he can win. But in terms of ambition, Cutler Beckett is genuinely ruthless. There are several lines that Beckett has where he says that the world is getting smaller and that the currency of the realm is actual currency. Like I said, though, there are problems that I do have with the movie. First being some of the CGI. There are some CGI that is pretty painfully noticeable. Now, I should say that on the other side of that coin, there is some CGI that is genuinely very impressive. Like, pretty much everything involving Davy Jones, I have no trouble, like, being like, oh, that's clearly Bill Nye wearing, like a CG suit. No, that is Davy Jones. Bill Nye just disappears into this role. Same with Stellan Skarsgård. And the Kraken is honestly pretty intimidating, even though, yes, it is very clearly CGI. The design is so good, and whenever the Kraken shows up, you're just like, well, you guys are screwed. On top of that, there's some pretty silly stuff in here. Like, for example, when Captain Jack and his crew, including Will Turner, are on that island, and Captain Jack is the chief of that tribe of natives, and the rest of the crew are in these bone cages, and they do the thing where they do a pendulum, and they swing, and they swing, and they swing over to the cliffs. That takes me out of the movie really bad, especially considering that I've seen the Mythbusters episode where they clearly busted that myth. So, yeah, I was just sitting there like, oh, come on, guys, really? And it also makes it bad considering that they actually walk up the side of the cliff when they're in this cage apparatus. I don't care how many leg days you do, there is no way that you are climbing up that cliff with that weight on that apparatus. It's just not happening. And on top of that, there's a scene where Captain Jack is pretty much tied to this pole, and he used it to pole vault himself using coconuts as leverage, and he flips and flips and flips and lands on his feet. It just didn't look good. And trust me when I say that I understand that I'm pointing out things like that in a movie where pirates are going after the still beating heart of a pirate who should be very well dead, who looks like if Cthulhu could walk and talk. I understand that. However, the movie actually plays logic pretty straight-laced in Curse of the Black Pearl. It does get over the top, but for the most part, it plays it pretty straight-laced. And so when these things are introduced, I was just like, come on, that's just silly. But all told, I think that Dead Man's Chest, like I said, is better than people remember. I'm going to give this a grade rating. It is not as good as Curse of the Black Pearl. I do have problems with it. But I believe that it sets up everything very well for the world's end. The acting is good. The action scenes are a lot of fun. It is darker, especially the opening. My goodness. But there's enough retained of the adventurous spirit of Curse of the Black Pearl that when darker stuff is introduced, especially the ending where basically the pirates are in the darkest timeline, I think it is all handled very well. So it's not a perfect time, but considering the fact that it must have been so tempting for them just to be like, I don't know, just make stuff up. I'm glad that they chose to dive into a deeper story than what would have been the tempting thing to do. I like that. I like the spirit of that. I understand that this movie is not really well liked by certain people, and I do understand. However, like I said, I think that this movie has aged well in certain areas. So I ask all of you, what did you think of Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Man's Chest? Leave your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to read what you have to say about it. And if you did like this video, please be sure to leave a like. And if you did like this video and you want to see more like it, hit the subscribe button and click the bell to allow notifications. That way when a new video drops, you'll be the first to know about it. My name is Ryan Cam, and I'll see you in the next one.